By the time we had gotten in touch with Empower, we were in shambles for help. We were actually almost not able to live here anymore. The basement's been insulated, the attic's been insulated. It's important because the supply of housing in America is not good. And these houses are in a state of disrepair that when they get demolished, they will never be replaced. So our region becomes -1 single-family home. And since all these houses are the same age, they're all experiencing identical types of problems. And without Empower, I'm sure this stuff would still not be done. And I'm more fortunate that maybe I'd have a couch to stay on, but other people wouldn't, and they will stay until you force them because they have nowhere else to go. 2 houses down here is the sweetest old man, who I just can't get him to get the paperwork going. It's so hard to get him to, but he has no power. He hasn't had hot water in 2 years. And I go down there and I work on his house for free just to try and give him some comfort, but it's so bad that there's just, and I think that's the case of 1,000 houses in this area. People living in houses they maybe shouldn't even be living in.
We helped a gentleman here just a year ago, served in the Vietnam War in the Air Force. He's living in a home where his roof is leaking, about ready to collapse. But the front door, there was water coming down for so long and he didn't have the resources to fix it. Just the front door. The 3 inches of the bottom door were gone. How much air comes in? And so to sit there and think about climate change with that homeowner is irrelevant. Fix the door, fix the roof, pull them up and get them to normality, or at least basic function, then come back and address the efficiency of the home. Then once you get them back on their feet, then you can go in and you can do your assessment, where a lot more work is, I'm sure, to be needed. 25.2% of all housing units in this county are vacant. It's almost double the national average. There's a lot of reasons for that, but the nail in the coffin is the home is not safe. Basics. They don't have a solid roof, they don't have septic system, they don't have heat, they don't have water, they don't have electric, and they just can't do it anymore. Our homes are personal to us. The home is, in most people's lives, the largest investment and asset that they will have in their lifetime. It's our security, it's our family. So what does it say to the length of the problem when people pack up and leave? It's got to be bad. People just don't do it on a whim. They've tried everything in their wheelhouse that they can to hang on.
There are also other barriers, such as if we discover a roof leak. We have homeowners where sometimes we're in the attic, we see the roof leak. Sometimes it's a ceiling that's falling down. Now, the NYSERDA program does have monies to help with very small repairs, but not maybe an entire room ceiling, which also has potentially wet fiberglass on it and whatnot. So sometimes that's the catch. If you get the roof leak fixed and fix this, then the program can come in. And if there was that resource where Foment could request it, obviously provide the proof the work was done. I don't want stealing to happen. A no questions asked $500 might enable a $10,000 energy saving project to happen.
On the landlord side, a lot of them don't want to be bothered with it because, it doesn't really affect them. So they don't mind because rarely do they pay the utilities and stuff. So they don't, to them, they don't really have an incentive to waste their time doing it. And you just don't know the other side of it. I don't know if they've, you don't know if the tenants are back on rent. So they're like, I'm not going to do things to help them out. You just don't know the situations. But I don't know. We don't get many landlords a year that actually will do it.
I don't know if any of the other landlords have taken advantage of this. I don't know why others aren't doing it. I think they may think that the paperwork might be daunting. But honestly, the paperwork is the most simplest part of it. And sometimes tenants can be difficult maybe about wanting to share their information. But honestly, if everyone just communicates it as a win-win and that it's truly helping the tenants, then I think that they should absolutely take advantage of it. I think that because so many of us are having issues with NYSEG and how expensive electric is and gas is right now, they should be getting into some of these Facebook groups, social media groups, possibly, and saying, hey, did you know about this?
We just had a chance to buy this home and we liked the area and everything, so we settled here. And then we had the issue of no heat.
We did try to fix the furnace downstairs, but it seemed like one thing and another, and
Too old.
too old.
We were without heat for 2 winters. Like it started at DSS and we were denied because the heater hadn't worked in 12 months. And so then they guided us to NYSERDA, and NYSERDA also refused because it hadn't been ran. And then they got us with cooperative extension, and we were able to finally get heat.
Kate reached out to me, I want to say last winter, like late winter. She had no heat. She and her girls were freezing. So I connected them with the Empower program. I think you were aware of the program?
Sure,
through your other previous work.
Yeah.
So she reached out to us, and I connected her to an Empower contractor who was able to come out and do a home energy assessment. They did determined that you obviously needed a new heating system.
Yeah.
Were you denied by HEAP, and that's why we stepped in at that point? I'm thinking.
Yes.
As far as your heating system.
I knew about HEAP. I knew about LIHEAP services because I used to recommend them to my clients. But when I called them, they were wonderful, and they said, you know, one of the requirements, and one of many requirements of state and county services, is that you have to be in the house for a year.
That's right.
But we had just moved in. We moved in June, and it was about October, November when I called you. So they couldn't help me. So that's when I started desperately dialing numbers and just saying, can you help me? And most people said, we have a requirement that you have to be in the home for a year. So thank goodness I connected with you.
They did the assessment, and then they determined that the cost for a new heating system would be excessive. It exceeded the caps that NYSERDA had for a new heating system, so you were going to have to put in a contribution.
I would have to put in $3,000. I was in school, I was working part-time. There was no way I could buy food and household items and get us through with putting aside $3,000. There was just no possible way I could do it. I didn't know what to do. At that moment, you stepped in and made a suggestion, which was a little out of the box thinking, but exactly what we needed to make something happen. I don't think I would have been able to do this without you coming up with suggestions and saying, okay, how do we fix this? How do we overcome this barrier?
You enlightened me after the fact that you were using your oven so much to heat your home that the oven broke.
Yeah, we still don't have an oven.
You never told me that, well, because you were being so strong. It's just incredible. So I'm so glad you shared that story with me, and I'm so glad that we were able to find a different subcontractor to install a heating system for you.
A lot of our applicants, both parents are working, but there's still the challenges, the rent keeps increasing, inflation is up, everything is increasing except their salaries. NYSEG's rates have gone up. and the cost of food goes up. And sometimes the amount of SNAP benefits that they get is it's supposed to be a supplement to their cost of buying food per month, but sometimes it barely covers it all. And then people have to pick, especially the elderly who are on a fixed income. Everything is getting raised except their income. So a lot of them, the older generation, they won't ask for help. They would rather, pay their NYSEG bill so they don't get shut off and go without their medication or not eat. And a lot of them, they don't have computers, or they don't have Wi-Fi, or they don't have a smartphone. So it becomes difficult for them to find the help they need because everything is online. We do have guidelines that we have to follow, and a lot of people fall through the cracks with those guidelines. For instance, you have to have owned your home. You have to have a deed in your name for the last 12 months. But we've had where, an adult person lives with their elderly parent, the parent dies, the paperwork hasn't gone through yet for them, and the furnace breaks down. But because they don't own the home, even though they've lived there their entire lives, they don't qualify for help with our furnace program. So far, our regulations for helping someone, let's say their oil tank is leaking, they need a new one. Currently, that's what we do, we replace that. But I know the state is moving forward eventually to get to the cleaner energy, so that instead of just replacing this oil tank, maybe we can replace the whole system with cleaner energy.
The hardest part of it, and what made it take the longest, was not understanding how the grant program worked. 3 contractors came and took a look and designed systems for me, but none of them could actually administer the state grants. It turns out, a year ago when I got my heat pumps, only 2 contractors in our area could administer the grants. So that really cut down on my options. I've been barking up the wrong tree for a year or 2. One frustration I have is it's very hard to compare energy usage from then and now. And I don't find NYSEG to be that helpful. Maybe I haven't figured out how to use the resources that they do have, but in comparing to past years, there's been so much estimated billing with NYSEG that I find it really difficult to compare apples to apples. I would love to get more information about how to track the usage of specific appliances so that I know, was this worth it? When am I going to pay it off? When is the savings going to pay for the equipment?
It's normal human behavior to want to go to somebody already in your trust circle. That's what we do. And for a lot of folks, the moment you say a program, they may step to one side of the room or the other side of the room. They may say, oh, great, something for me? I want to learn more about that. And they're on their way to becoming knowledgeable and accessing those resources. About 50% of the population, based on normal human behavior, will say, oh, it's another program. I had these failures with these other 16 programs. I don't want a program. Let me call my friend Edna. Edna will tell me. But Edna may not know. Edna may also be I had the failure with 16 programs. It's why in the communication out to the public, you have to be everywhere. And this is one of my other challenges, I've personally experienced it, is there are, again, all groups almost always divide in 2 different directions. There will be the people who will talk to you and tell you about things, and then there are the people that will not talk to you and tell you about things. We often most need the information from the people who are not talking to us and telling us about things. This is another area of how do we get to sustainability, how do we build better communities.
There's this idea that, people from disadvantaged communities aren't going to be able to learn as much. They're not going to be able to pick up these things, and that's not true. They just haven't been given the chance. And so we see that as an opportunity, on several fronts, to help the environment, to help grow the green energy sector, and then give disadvantaged communities a chance to get this path, this green career path, and as well as, again, improve their own environment, improve the world they live in.
From North Carolina, Goldsboro, North Carolina. I moved here November the 16th, 2021, like after my grandmother passed. When I got here, you know, I already had a job at McDonald's, so I started at McDonald's. But I applied for Job Corps when I was in North Carolina. So I was like, you know, I gotta figure out what I really want to do, make conscious decisions. So I moved here and I was like, you know what? I seen the opportunities that Ithaca could give you. So right then and there, I transferred my Job Corps to try to find a Job Corps that was in the area. I graduated from just like 2 weeks ago from Cornell Corporate Extension as an environmental specialist. They helping more adults now. If you've been incarcerated, if you need help getting your driver's license, if you need help, if something hindering you, like you have a bad charge or anything like that, they helping expunge things. And that's a big deal because it costs a lot to do those things. So it's not just like, oh, I'm only helping you this far and that's it. It's not that. They helping you above and beyond. So I told Ethan exactly what I wanted. I was like, I was looking at this Halco company. I see them every single day. I think I want to work for them. And I was taking the HVAC class. Even though I haven't got my EPA yet, Ethan made it happen. He was like, you know, send me your application where you apply. I guess Halco said they didn't receive it. And he was like, obviously, you know, you submitted it, so I got something better for you. The owner of Halco wants your resume and the head of HR wants your resume. So I was like, yes, I have to do this, you know, I have to do this. So a few days later, I had my first interview Monday. I think my second interview was on a Tuesday. By Wednesday, they gave me the job.